up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice and Dragons, we are going to be reviewing X-Men Mutant Insurrection. This is published by Fantasy Flight Games and designed by Richard Launius and Brandon Perdue. Now, if you recognize the designer, you may guess, yes, this is based on Elder Sign. So this type of game really makes sense coming from Fantasy Flight Games. Now, with that being said, Julie's going to take it away and tell you a little bit more about the game itself.
It is a cooperative game intended for 1 to 6 players, ages 10 and above, that plays in 1 to 2 hours.
And what do you think about the playtime as well as the age?
Well, we played it as 2 players and as 4 characters, and I would say probably with 4 characters it was easily an hour and a half. And I think the 2 characters, even getting to know it though, was still more around the 1 hour mark. So I think it's right.
Yeah, I definitely think even with 4 characters, you could probably play it in an hour. We had to break up one of our plays. That's probably why it took us a little bit longer. Also, I think the age of 10 is good. If you've played Elder Sign, you know that game can be fairly brutal. This is definitely a more family-friendly version of that game, which we're going to talk about in the review. Now, what will you be doing in X-Men Mutant Insurrection? Well, you'll be taking control of your favorite X-Men. You will have a distinct hero power as well as an assist power. Now, your assist power is only available to another player if they are going on the same mission with you. You will then be rolling dice and need to match the symbols to the symbols that are on the different cards. Now, depending on the threat level, you may even have some extra symbols that you need to match as well. And you will need to complete your missions, in particular the story missions, in order to defeat the scenario. You'll be playing through some of the most famous X-Men scenarios, and this must all be done before the threat meter goes over 15. Now, did I miss anything there, Julie?
No, I think you got it all.
All right, so it's time for us to grab our drink, grab our
fellow mutant.
Yes, she's definitely a mutant.
I read his mind. That's how I knew he was going to say fellow mutant instead of best friend.
See? Okay, where we're going with this. And it's all set up as you can see. Let's take it to the table one more time. Now let's take a quick look at the components for X-Men Mutant Insurrection. Now we'll start with one of the cards. Just want to showcase what we've got here. You can see these are the reference cards, double-sided with the attempting mission side, which explains what you need to do, and then the game round phase that will guide you through each round of the game. Then, of course, we need to take a look at the rule book. I always start with the back. There is a nice quick reference guide on the back of the rule book. Fantasy Flight Games always does a good job with this. So if you need to know your dice ratios, and we'll take a look at the dice next, but as you can see, the blue dice have more teamwork on them, the yellow dice have more power, and the red dice have more fight. Then there are some other symbols that you'll see, such as villainy, the order arrow, threat, damage, die, success token, hero count. We'll talk about all those things during the how to play. Overall, with regards to the rule book, it's very straightforward. It's got everything that you need to learn the game. Setup rules are nice. I like the playing the game rules. The only thing that I didn't like is when it comes to the check outcome phase, when you're trying to attempt a mission, it's this part right here. If there's still an incomplete objective after all heroes, see it says all heroes, what it tells you here is that if there is one uncompleted objective and there's another hero there, well, they get to become the active hero. I wish that was just a little bit clearer. I thought Elder Sign did a better job getting that information across, but overall, no complaints with the rulebook. There's no learn to play, but you don't really need to have that as well. As we said, we're going to take a look at the dice. As you can see, there's the villainy icon, which will trigger any villainy effects. If you're going to reroll the die, the power symbol, 2 damage, and the teamwork symbol. And as we saw from the back of the rulebook, all of these dice are different. We'll take a look at the blue. So you can see we've got the double teamwork. So those are the dice. Next, we've got the success tokens, which you'll be using on missions after you successfully complete some of their objectives. We'll take a look at the missions in just a moment. This is the showdown token, which you'll be using on different showdowns that'll come into play. And we'll talk about that in not too long. And this is just to be placed on the card to say, hey, we have completed it. Here are the damage tokens. with the training tokens right next to them, which you can use to fill the slot of a die, provided you've gone and done some training. Now, we talked about the dice. We were talking about missions. Let's take a look at the missions. There are 5 different continent decks, and each continent deck has its own villain. So in the case of North America, it's the Blob. These are threat icons. I'll tell you how much this threat meter will go up during the game. Here is the threat token that will move up. And it'll start at a certain place depending on your difficulty level. You'll have different types of missions. Now, these colored levels depend on the threat level. So yellow objectives only when you're in yellow, red only when you're in red. You may also see some things that you will have to do if you've completed other objectives. And there is also threat values for all of the different missions. Now, we've talked about them. We're not going to take a look at them all in full detail here. But as you can see with South America, we've got Avalanche as our main villain. We'll take a look at the Europe missions. We have Black Tom Cassidy. We've got Pyro for Africa. And then in Asia, we've got the Silver Samurai. So lots of cool villains. And as we're talking about them, let's move on to the villain deck. These are harder villains. As you'll notice, they have 2 threat associated with them. You've got some X-Men favorites with Omega Red, Mystique, Sauron, Lady Deathstrike, and Juggernaut. They'll come into play depending on certain effects that are triggered during the game. Now, each mission also has a success and failure. So when you complete it, you may gain a reward. If you're not able to complete it with multiple heroes, as each hero that is deployed to the mission will get a chance, well, you have to suffer the failure effect. And you may get the opportunity to recruit a mutant. So we'll take a look at these cards quickly, as there's a lot of them, but these are different mutants that you can gain. So Boom Boom, when you become the active hero, you may exhaust Boom Boom to train power. Multiple Men, you may have any number of Multiple Men cards. While you're the active hero, you may exhaust Multiple Men to reroll a die, ignoring the villainy effects. Gentle, while another hero is at any mission, so is the active hero at any mission, you may exhaust Gentle to reroll up to 1 red die and 1 yellow die, ignoring all the villainy effects. So lots of cool stuff. Pixie, while you're the active hero, you can exhaust Pixie to reroll up to 1 yellow die and 1 blue die, ignoring all villainy effects. So these are really like your items, but you're recruiting mutants. Fits very well with the theme of the X-Men. So we're going to continue talking about the other components. We're going to save the heroes for last. Well, we mentioned the threat meter, as you can see with the different threat levels. We do have the threat decks. There are 3 of them. The green level, yellow level, and the red level. Now, each deck is made up of sentinels and different events. Now, when you read through the events, it'll tell you what to do. So you may discard 1 success from each face-up mission. Then if there are 3 or more heroes, you'll have to draw another threat card. And as you go through threat, obviously red is harder than yellow, and yellow is harder than green. Now, for those that have played Elder Sign, you know that you always have a location that you can rest. In this case, we've got 3 school locations: Cerebro, which will let you take a look at the continent cards; the Danger Room, which will, and all of them heal, by the way, a Danger Room, which will let you do some training; and Xavier's Office, which means if you've got some villains, such as the ones here, or the single ones that are in each of the continent decks, well, you will then be able to discard them to lower threat. Now, what is an X-Men game without some bonds between fellow students? So as you're playing the game, some rewards can be bonds, and they're based on love, devotion, trust, respect. And you notice there are multiple of them. That's because there are 2 of them, 1 for each character. Sorry, I had that a little off camera. So as you can see, they're all numbered. So if you gain 1, you have to look for the matching number and decide which other hero you're bonded with. But, you know, things don't always go smoothly for mutants. So you can break the bonds, and then they will also have negative effects as well. Look at the scenario. So the game has the Brotherhood of Mutants, Second Genesis, Rise of the Sentinels, the Hellfire Gambit, Rubicon, Dangerous, the Hellfire Club, and culminates with Dark Phoenix. So you're going through some of the most iconic X-Men missions during the game. And what we have here are some of the showdown cards and the story deck. Not going to go through them all, but they're all numbered at the bottom. You can barely see it. They're all double-sided. And as you play through the different story missions, these cards are going to come into play, and you'll have to defeat them in order to complete the scenario. While we've taken a look at everything else, it's time to take a look at the heroes. Clearly, we've got the Blackbird, and there are a lot of X-Men, so we do not have all the standees, but some of our favorites are here. We've got, of course, Wolverine, and I really do enjoy these standee bases because they don't actually mark up the standees themselves. We've got Colossus, Rogue, they're all double-sided, and Iceman. I just grabbed the standees from the game that we're in the process of playing. Well, that we just completed by the time I'm filming this. So you get to see those standees and all the other X-Men characters that we have. We'll take a look at the deck right now, and we'll talk about them. So as you can see, Iceman, Colossus, Wolverine, Rogue. We've got Gambit. Now you can see their dice pool, their damage, and their special ability. We're not going to go through all of them. Magic, Phoenix, Jubilee, Armor. And when I meant not go through all of them, I mean not the special abilities. Angel, Cyclops, Beast, Forge, X-23, Storm, Shadowcat, who may be the most powerful in the game. And those are all the X-Men that are included. Now when it comes to your dice pool, you also have assist cards. Now the interesting thing about these cards is you can't use your own assist ability, but if you're assisting another hero, well, they can use it. And this tells you what your total dice pool is because you'll be rolling 6 die no matter what. And those cards are just upside down. So as you can see, Magic, well, Shadowcat's dice pool would be 3 red, 2 yellow, and a blue if she was teamed up with Magic. If she was using her own card, she would have 3 blue, 1 yellow, and 2 red. Now, but she can't use her intangibility ability, assist ability, but she would when she has this as her dice pool. So you only have the phasing. Now she's being assisted by Magic. She can also use the sorcery. And that's how it works. So you get a little bit of an overview of the game as we go through the components as well. Always going into detail. Now keep it right here as I'm going to be coming back with our setup, followed by our how to play. Now we're going to teach you how to set up X-Men Mutant Insurrection. The first thing you want to do is pick your X-Men. In this case, we've got Phoenix. We'll set up on the Blackbird and Cyclops. I chose these 2 X-Men since Julie and I are doing the review. We've got our threat tracker here. We've got the green threat, yellow threat, and red threat all shuffled up. Now, depending on the difficulty level, so if you wanted to do easy, they would be at 2, normal's at 4, 6 is hard, and I'm going to double check expert here for a second. We haven't actually had a chance to try it. Well, it's not expert, it's called extreme. I guess that works for the X-Men. You would set it at 8. In this case, we'll have it set to normal with the token at 4. You'll need to have selected your scenario. In this case, we're going to be playing the first one, which almost is more like a tutorial, the Brotherhood of Mutants, that instructs us to put Xavier's dream into play. Now this comes from the story deck, so keep it nearby. You're going to be going into it. There's instructions for the showdown and all the different story-related cards. You'll notice that I don't have everything on camera because I wanted to keep it all nice and close to the camera, very well visible. You'll need to have your villain cards just off to the side and within reach. You also want to have a reference card or 2, depending on how many people are playing the game. You also need your tokens, such as damage and training tokens, which we've got just below our stack of cards. We then also have the showdown token and the success tokens for when we get to that point in the game. And of course, we also have our dice. Now you'll also want to make sure that you've got your mutants available as well. Now these are just stacked up below Phoenix, so we've got our nice stack. Let's shuffle it up. I don't think I've done enough shuffling. And then lastly, we have the bonds. So those are also just off camera. But what you're really going to want to see for when you play the game is right here. I wish I had set up the school with a little bit more room, but I prefer the view that we've got right now. So we've got the 3 locations for the school: Xavier's office, Danger Room, and Cerebro. It's easy enough set up like this for me to deploy people to it. I know what all of the different locations do, so having it condensed like this doesn't bother me. But when we discuss those locations, you will see them in full detail. I'll make sure to go over them. So there you have it. We've taken a look at how you set up X-Men Mutant Insurrection. Everything's just about ready to go. The only thing that we need to do is flip the first mission. So you've got the nice setup example here if you wanted to see just what it would look like a little bit more spaced out. And we'll flip a North American mission since we're in North America. We've got the crime wave. Now, if Misled Mutants has been completed, so it is not completed when we flip it, we must raise the threat by 1. Well, we have no completed missions, so threats are going to go up by 1. But we've got the opportunity to reduce threat by 3, and each hero can train. So we got some cool stuff that we can do. So there you have it. The game is set up. We are ready to go. Now keep it right here, as I'm going to be back with our how to play. Now, before we get into the phases of the game, I want to talk about the uses for the school locations. So here we've got Cerebro, which you can see right away. Now, any hero that goes here will heal 3 damage. Then if you are the first hero to deploy here, you will reveal the top card of one of the continent decks. You may decide to then leave it at the top or place it at the bottom of the deck. It's a great way to avoid villains or nasty cards that may not do what you want to do. For example, this turf one's not that bad with reduced threat by 2. One hero can form a bond. If you fail, one hero can discard a mutant. So you have a couple of choices what you can do. In this case, since I didn't actually go there, I will leave it on the top. Now, if you go to the Danger Room, you may heal 2 damage and gain 1 of the 3 training tokens. Now, each player can only have 1 training token at a time. So you've got your friendship, teamwork, power, and your fight tokens that you can gain. And then there's Xavier's office, which lets you heal 2 damage, and then you may return any number of completed villain missions to the box to reduce threat by the total number of threat icons on those cards. So just to give you an idea of what the villain missions are and what villains look like, there you have it. These are the villain missions. They've got the purple background and the name villain across the top. So we've explained how the school works. We're ready to go. First and foremost, we go through the deploy phase. So each hero will deploy to a mission or a school card. And if we count out the number of dice we have here, there's a total of 7 dice, meaning we're not going to be able to complete this mission with just a hero. So we will deploy both Phoenix and Cyclops to this location. We've got some good chances of reducing threat. Now at this point, we can decide whether we're going to be assisting each other or not. I always typically like to assist because you get access to more abilities. And this isn't really changing up the die pool all that much. So we are now at the mission phase where we're going to attempt to resolve the mission that we've deployed to. In this case, we're going to start with Phoenix, who has a die pool of 3 yellow and 3 blue die. Now during the phase, you can re-roll twice. So we're going to start with our first roll and see what we get. Now this is a villainy symbol, which is perfect because I get the chance to explain it. If I wanted to re-roll the die, and let's say we were actually facing off against Sauron, I would then have to use the villain, resolve the villainy effect, which means discard 1 yellow die or suffer 2 damage because that was rolled. As we're not facing Sauron or anyone all that nasty, we don't have to do it. And I was actually incorrect when I said there are 7 die. There are locations that require you to take damage, meaning that there's a chance that Phoenix could do this herself, but we want to make sure that we succeed. The only other option for Cyclops deploying would have been to reveal a card and then try to complete that himself. That's why I revealed Turf War, since we saw it already. But I like what we did. We're going in the right direction. Now, there is no specific order that this has to be resolved. I'll actually flip over turf 4 because it works out perfectly. When you see this icon, you have to resolve the card in descending order. Well, we definitely need a 2. Fortunately, we didn't get a 2 on any of our blue dice, as the yellow dice have a higher chance of getting the power symbol. That's why we're only going to use 1. We've got 2 heroes here. Let's not necessarily go for broke. Let's see what we can accomplish as we're working as a team. Now, she does have Cyclops assist ability, which means she may turn 1 dice showing teamwork result to any result. We didn't have it. And once per round, if you have 2 or more dice showing power result, you may turn 1 of them to any result. Had neither of those as well, so none of the powers are really helping us. But lo and behold, we do get the 2 power symbols that we need. And I can change 1 of them to any result, but is that something that I really want to do? Well, I'd like to be able to resolve some of this stuff. And right now we're in a good chance to resolve maybe everything if we get really, really lucky. Now you can always check the back to see what you can do. And we need 3 damage here, so we're really risking it, but it's worth pushing our luck. And then you know what? It actually worked out in our favor. In this case, you may turn 1 die showing the X result to any result. We can turn this to 1, meaning that we actually resolved the mission because we have completed all the objectives. Now, if we'd only resolved part of it, let's say we just got the first 2, we didn't get lucky, we would have placed these 2 success tokens out. And as Cyclops is here, we would not go to the check status phase. Cyclops would then become the active hero and have a chance to complete it. As it stands right now, as Jean Grey was able to complete it herself, we do have to follow through on these 2 damage requirements. 2 and 1, meaning she will take 3 damage. The phase will then be over, and we will return to the Blackbird, and the heroes are no longer assisting each other. Now, each hero will train fight because of the success. We'll just put those, put them on their hero cards, actually. And we will reduce threat by 3. 1, 2, 3. And we then gain this card. And that is the mission phase. So we now must go to the threat phase. We need to raise threat by the number of threat symbols that are out there. We don't have any. Oh, and I almost forgot. Well, this comes at the during play. After you complete a mission, excuse me, you place a success token on the card. So we got that 1 success token already. So there are no threat things that we need to go through. We then flip mission based on the hero count. So we will flip a mission. Since we've seen it already, we will flip turf war. Put that into play. So if Silver Samurai is completed, the bottom objective is completed. He's not, so nothing to do on flip. Then we must draw and resolve a threat card. As threat is in green, we will start with the green card. We then draw a Sentinel. The Sentinel then gets attached to Turf War. So we now have a villainy effect in play, and we must complete this objective as well in order to resolve the mission. We're not in great shape now. I was hoping to send Phoenix to heal. Well, actually, we still can. We're just going to have some threat going up. But addressing this mission would be nice. So we're then in the regroup phase. And what would happen is, for example, let's say this had been out earlier and I'd lost the mission. This is now when the hero would be returned to the Blackbird. Once you complete a mission, they are automatically returned to the Blackbird. So all assist cards get returned. Any hero that is knocked out would be replaced and can come back into the game. So let's talk about knocked out heroes for a second. because it may happen if we decide to send Cyclops and Phoenix to turf war. Maybe they get knocked out. Now, if a hero gets knocked out, what happens is you're going to be raising the threat by 1, and you will then pick a new hero like Shadowcat, and they will then join the game during the regroup phase. However, if you've reached the showdown phase of the game, that will not happen. There is no regroup phase. So let's go through another round of the game. Now we can go for broke. We actually have some training tokens, so we do have some opportunities here to do some good stuff. Or we could have Jean Grey go heal, but as I'm teaching you how to play, let's live a little dangerously. Maybe she'll get knocked out. We're going to deploy both characters to turf war. And we'll once again be assisting each other. Hopefully we don't suffer damage. So we're going to roll the dice for Jean Grey. See what we get. That was a solid roll. So right off the bat, we can go 2-2. And I'm just going to slide up turf war. I'm not 100% sure you can see the Sentinel on camera. We didn't have to trigger a villainy effect, so we do 2-2. And we've got the power token. Now we can set a power to any result we want, as we've rolled enough of them. So we're going to want a 2 damage. We can place the 2 up here to resolve that. And then unfortunately, though, there's just no way that we can actually complete anything else that we have on here. So it's not the end of the world. We did all right. It's going to be potentially... actually, you know what? I forgot. We actually do have a chance because we have our 2 damage. So let's take the chance. We really assigned all our dice right away. We actually did do well. We got a 2. We can spend our training token like that, and we will meet all these requirements. It's fantastic. The Sentinel has been defeated, so they are then discarded. You'll place 2 success tokens. And you may be wondering why Jean Grey didn't have to take a damage. You can slide this back down. As the symbol here is red, this is only a requirement if we're at the red threat level. Cyclops, you get to do something this turn. So we'll build your die pool with 2 red, 3 yellow, and 1 blue. He really needs to roll damage in order to defeat this. And luckily we got rid of the villainy effect. But nice and easy, we've got 2 damage. He's going to have to take 2 damage in order to complete the effect. So there we have it. We've now completed this mission. We can put another success on that. Heroes are returned to the Blackbird. We then gain this card. And through our success, we get to form a bond. When you're forming a bond, you draw from the bottom of the deck. You find what you have, which is camaraderie. So while you are the active hero, you may exhaust this card to double the value of one of your fight results. And that's if you and the other hero that you're bonded with are at the same mission. So we need to find the other camaraderie, number 4. If you like to use the numbers, it makes it easier to find, to take that out. And we're just going to have them off camera. Well, I can put it off to the side next to them this way so that I know that they are bonded together. We also reduce threat by 2. So we're down to 0 threat. We're in good shape. So we're once again going to go through the threat phase. So no threat to be raised. We need to flip a mission. Let's try Africa this time. So we got the jewel heist. If Mutant Thief is completed, we get to complete one of the objectives here. So we don't need to do that. We'll then draw a threat card. Clever diversion. So we replace the story mission with the top card of the villain deck face up. If you cannot replace a story mission, replace any face up mission instead. Well, so the story mission is not applicable. Actually, no, we don't have any story missions in play. Xavier's Dream is something else. So we have to replace the face up mission with a villain. Well, guess what? We've got the villain deck. So we'll shuffle it up. Who do we get? We get Omega Red. So Omega Red is now in play, and he's going to make threat go up, which is just not a good thing. And I was actually going to end this here, at least as part of the how to play. I'm going to go straight on to the showdown, but we've got Omega Red. Let's see what happens if we deploy to school locations, because I think we actually should do that. Let me showcase a few different things that we can do. All right. And for whatever reason, I get the feeling I used Jean's. No, I used her token properly. I wanted to send her to Cerebro, but I'd like to get some tokens if we're going to take out Omega Red. I mean, we need 5 damage. So what we're going to do is, well, actually, we have our nice bond of camaraderie, which can help out a lot. So you know what? Forget the training token. Jean's going to go Cerebro, heal 3 damage. Take a look at North America. I like this missing allies card. Reduce threat, draw a mutant. So I will leave it at the top. Cyclops is going to go to the danger room. He's going to heal 2 damage. Now, I didn't give the assist cards back. It's not that big of a deal because they're constantly going on missions together. I'm going to swap the damage training token for the teamwork one, just to have something a little different, as we're going to need teamwork. We also need power, but we've got camaraderie. Let's just double some results, so we should be in good shape. Now, this is going to end our turn, though, because we only went to school location. So we end up back at the Blackbird. Threat actually goes up by 2. You have to draw the threat card. Each hero suffers 1 damage. And then if there are 3 or more heroes, we'd have to draw another card. Not the end of the world. We healed all our damage. Everyone each got a damage. It's now time to go take on Omega Red. And because threat went up, we're definitely going to want to potentially knock it back down. And it says here that we can form a bond. Just so you know, your X-Men can have up to 2 bonds formed with different heroes. So that's pretty cool. But we'll start with Phoenix. She's powerful. Having fun rolling her dice. Let's see what we get. Ooh, we get the villainy effect. So we'd have to discard a mutant or suffer 2 damage. Meaning, if we suffer damage, we're going to potentially get knocked out. So let's leave that off to the side. We're not loving that right now. So what can we do? Well, we can use teamwork. You may turn the teamwork result to any result. We can change this to a 2. And it can essentially be counted as a 4 because of camaraderie, which is pretty cool. Actually, you know what? Yeah, count this as a 4 because of camaraderie. We can put another one there. Actually, it doesn't really matter as we don't want to be defeated. We just complete this one line on Omega Red. So it goes over to Cyclops now with 2 red dice, 2 yellow, 3 yellow, and a blue. We should have enough to get some power results. And we do get some power results, but man, not exactly what we wanted. So once per round, you may spend 1 power result to turn up to 2 of your dice to any fight result. Now, we've got the fight that we need. But we're going to need the power, and we really just don't quite have it. Well, I'm going to re-roll this. I'm going to leave that one. We're going to lose that die because I do not want to get myself knocked out. I'm just going to take 2 damage because I can't discard a mutant and roll again. Second roll, not great. Roll again, and that's it. So we actually do not complete Omega Red, meaning we suffer the negative effects, meaning this hero breaks a bond. So that happens to Cyclops as well, and we go back to the Blackbird in defeat. And that's really how you play the game. So you saw what happens if you lose a mission, what happens if you don't lose a mission. Saw everything, but we want to talk about the showdown. Now, the showdown is going to happen as we progress through the story of the game. And the showdown is made up of 2 cards. You'll notice that on the back of this, you go to a story fight with Magneto, and then it will tell you to put Santa Marco into play, which is 02A. Now, on the back of Santa Marco, after we complete this, we will trigger the showdown. What happens during the showdown? You ignore all the other missions. We'll just leave them out there because I don't want to clean everything up. And you're going to have to complete these missions. Now, threat gets locked wherever it is. Let's say threat had gone up to there, and everything changes. We're no longer going to be drawing threat cards or going through the threat phase. We'll be taking damage based on the showdown itself. So let's see how we would. It's actually fairly easy to defeat a showdown, at least the tutorial one. So we'll just imagine that we hadn't defeated one for whatever reason. We got bad die rolls, and let's start taking a look at the showdown from the threat phase. So when you're in the threat phase, you got to go through these cards, and this tells you what happens. So every turn, because of this symbol, the heroes will take 1 damage. So for in this case, Cyclops is going to get knocked out, which is not fun. Now there's villainy results, as you can see, and we need to defeat these missions. What it tells us down here is that we need successes equal to the number of heroes minus 1. So only one time to defeat it. It's not that bad. We want to take this out right away. Let's deploy the heroes. Cyclops goes here. Phoenix goes there. We've got Cyclops' die pool. Let's see what we get. Roll the dice. Not a good start, but not necessarily a bad start either, because what you need to do for the showdown is just complete any one of these lines, and I'm pretty sure we've got what we need here. Actually, at this point, they're split up. So we're going to put our symbols back. We don't have a power result. We've got our X-Men result. These 2 die. Can't use. Try rolling again. 2 damage. No good. Try again. Well, no luck. Let's imagine we had just been playing the game, so we'd gain another training token. With all that bad luck, if we had the power training token, well, guess what? We've got the success that we need. We then take the showdown token, see the card's defeated, and then we cancel its effects. So that would be a good roll. Now in this case, we're going to take a look at what happened with Jean. Just because we're here, we're doing it. It's pretty fun. Roll the dice. Pretty crazy roll, but we're in good shape. So let's do that. We've got the power. Then we'd have to take 2 damage. Let's imagine that Jean had 3 damage. We only need 1 success. Well, we could still take the 2 damage, even if Jean gets knocked out. We're X-Men, we're heroes. We defeated the villains, and we still win the day. So that's how it works. And now you've seen the game from A to Z. We went through an extra turn. You got to see villains. You got to see the showdown. Don't think I've missed anything. Now keep it right here, as Julie and I will be coming back at you with our review of the game. Julie, what did you think of X-Men Mutant Insurrection? I know you were a fan of Elder Sign. That may be your favorite of the Arkham Horror games. You do enjoy Eldritch as well. Arkham Horror 2 wasn't your favorite, and you weren't the biggest fan of Final Hour. But this is based on your favorite one. I think it's probably going to go over at least as well, maybe even more.
Well, I definitely like the theme. It was fun. It was fun to have all the different characters. I didn't know them all. I just know the ones from the movies. So there are some in here that
Boo. She didn't even watch the cartoon in the 90s, but I guess I should probably blame her brother for not watching the cartoon and making her watch it. I love that cartoon. Dun, 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 dun,
yeah, I'm not going to age myself by saying what I was doing in the 90s. So I really enjoyed the fact that when you team up, you get access to some different dice, and that you get access to your teammates' assist power. I think that's really thematic, and I thought that was a lot of fun. I mean, when you go out on your own, you still get the same number of dice, but you get different dice, so you can be a little strategic based on what you're facing and decide who should team up. I know when we were teaming up with, and I had Rogue and you had Shadowcat, we were just wrecking house.
It's a little broken. Not gonna lie, those 2 characters are way too strong, especially together, because Rogue can copy Shadowcat's ability. Her ability is that you can, depending on the threat level, which is green, yellow, and red, on the missions or green, yellow, and red spaces, you can automatically take 1 die and just clear that space. Her then assist ability is intangibility, which lets you ignore all the damage spaces, meaning team up with Rogue, copy that power, give her intangibility. You can have a very difficult mission that you may need to take a damage at the end of each of it. And Rogue's like, yeah, whatever, I'm good. And if you're missing a die, it's like, oh, I got it. Oh, plus my training token. Like, I'm the best. Happy dance. Happy dance.
So,
I mean, overpowered.
I thought that was a lot of fun. I would say I definitely had more fun playing 4 characters than playing 2. I don't know. What would you say about it?
I think 2 just feels a little dull, especially when you're starting out with some of the early scenarios. Now, it's a great way to learn the game because you're not going to be controlling as many characters. But I would recommend that if you're playing this game, you'll want to probably have 2 characters each, or be playing a 3, 4, 5 player game of this. Whereas in Elder Sign, I felt just the way that the game was designed, the difficulty level, and the fact that you're pulling a lot more items as well as Elder Signs, you really wanted to do things more solo, and having someone assist you was nice, but not necessary. It's not necessary in this game actually as well, but those assist powers, getting the extra special abilities is a lot more important. And whereas Elder Sign had ways for you to assist someone when you're not necessarily on the same mission, just really changed up the experience. We played Elder Sign only at 2. We never even considered playing it at 4. And we got a blast. And it didn't really feel that way with this game. Actually, we have some of the components in front of us here. And here, we'll pick up this one. This is from our last showdown. And what it tells you here is the amount of successes that you need to get to defeat the showdown. So in a 2-player game, some of these it's only like 2 successes. Other ones will be written the number of players -1, meaning you only need 1 success. And when we got to to the showdown for the first scenario, the tutorial, we basically each got 1 success and we were done. We won the game. I just don't think the feel of the game really comes through at 2 players.
Well, also, I mean, this is a dice rolling game, so you can have the dice rolling in your favor or not. And the first game we played 2 characters on easy, and the dice I was just rolling like a beast, and so it just felt like really, really easy. Now, the dice aren't.
I died in our first game. Not died, I got knocked out, which is actually something that's pretty much happened to us in every game. And we'll talk about the rules for coming back afterwards, but...
Yeah, it's true, because the second game I got knocked out right away.
Yep.
It didn't take very long. So, I mean, there's definitely that. There's definitely that aspect of the game that you know, if you hate rolling dice, this is definitely not a game for you. It's not as dice heavy as other games that we've played, but the dice definitely have a huge impact on how this game is played. It's the basis of the game.
Yeah, you do get some mitigating powers with the mutants that you can recruit, with which replace items, as well as the bonds that you can form, which are 2 aspects I think are really cool and fit with the X-Men theme. I love the fact that you can form a bond with another mutant, and then when you're on missions together, you get a bonus. And just like you're doing
bonds can get broken.
Yep. Which happens, people betray each other. Cyclops was the leader. He became a villain. Then he's back to being one of the leaders of the X-Men. Wolverine was an X-Men, a loner, an Avenger, all over the place. And it definitely works very well. Like, the whole game feels incredibly thematic to X-Men. Whether you know it from the movies or the comics, you will definitely feel like you are in the world of X-Men. I mean, we've got a Blackbird, which you saw on the components if you actually watched it. And that's just really cool.
So, Jason, what about value for your money?
I think that you've got a good value for your money here. Now, not at the original price that this was posted at in Canada. It took a while to get here. That's why this review is going to be late in terms of some people's opinions. We would have reviewed this months ago if it came out at the same time it did in the US. But you're paying about... Well, we got it on special, but you should be paying about the $50 to $60 price point. I think it is a little high. You're definitely paying for the license, but you're getting a lot of characters, you're getting a lot of story. And if you don't have a game like Elder Sign, or you like dice games, you like co-op games, and you want something that's family friendly and easy to set up and play, setup is not that difficult. It was a little tricky the first time just figuring it out. I'd say setup time is probably about 5 to 10 minutes, which is pretty good. But I think it is solid value. It is a little overpriced on the license. You're probably paying an extra $10 or so just to cover those licensing fees. If you're not interested in X-Men, I suggest you check out Elder Sign.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that there's a couple of, there's a couple of areas towards the end of the game when we're playing one of our games where it just kind of felt like we were...
repetitive.
It was a little repetitive. We just, beat the Sentinel, but it just got a little anticlimactic. But maybe it was just the scenario and the way we were playing. But besides that, it was fun. I did enjoy playing it.
And that's one thing that I think I want to talk about is the scenarios are very much thematic to the X-Men, whether it's good game design or not. So take that for what you will. Fighting against the Sentinels was really annoying. We were constantly taking damage when we fought Master Mold, and fits the theme, but as Julie said, it was fairly anticlimactic and got a little obnoxious. Now I want to talk about the rules for getting knocked out, and it works well because it happens in superhero comics. You make the play and things don't go your way, so you get knocked out, threat goes up, but you get to jump back in the game, and I really like those rules because it doesn't penalize you that much. But if you do have a lot of mutants and you're fairly strong, maybe you got some bonds with people, you don't necessarily want to make those less than strategic moves. And there's a couple of other options we have, such as going to the different school locations, which you didn't really talk about, which can help you out. Now, you do have the ability to leave mutants at the school for other people to recruit. That really never came into play in any of our plays. But using the danger room to train was cool, getting the training tokens to make sure that you'll have a better chance of succeeding on the next mission. Or if you have a mission you want to complete that needs 7 dice. If you train, you got a chance of actually completing it. Using Cerebro to manage what missions are going to come up was very helpful. And then even lowering the threat with Charles Xavier's office once we defeated some of the villain cards was very cool as well. So I like all of those locations.
I would have liked to be able to have more than one training token, though. I don't know. I wish there was an item or something that would allow you, not necessarily have them all the time, but there would be a way to have a few more. Like maybe 2.
Well, we haven't looked at all the mutants. Maybe someone has a power that lets you do it.
Maybe.
So it could be a mutant from the mutant deck or even one of the characters. So we got to try quite a few of the characters. We've got about 4 plays of this in now. I think we're really ready to give our thoughts on it. I like the threat system, which is something that is very well. It's in Elder Sign, but the way it works with the different threat cards, the way they escalate was something that I thought was pretty cool as well, and also very thematic to the X-Men universe. You also will be drawing more cards depending on the number of heroes. So bad stuff's going to be happening to you every turn to hinder you at succeeding in this cooperative game. But as Julie said, at certain player counts, certain scenarios, they definitely come up on the easy side. One thing I wanted to ask you, Julie, because I've seen the question. I don't think the games are definitely not apples to apples, they're more apples to oranges. What do you think of this game compared to Marvel United, the other family-friendly Marvel game that's out there?
This was more fun. I know people think that we're strange, but I found Marvel United a little boring, and the characters were all too samey. I would guess they're too similar. In this case, each of the different heroes definitely has their own individual powers that are very much like they are in the movies.
And the comic books?
They're the same as the comic books. So it makes it a lot more fun that way. I was just disappointed by the scalability and the different powers that Marvel United have. So it's not the same game. It doesn't play the same way, but I had more fun with this than with United.
I will say this. If you're looking for a game that has distinct heroes and you can get one box, have a great time, I'm going to recommend X-Men Mutant Insurrection because we like dice games over Marvel United. Now, if you can spend the money and you want to get everything, find a Kickstarter exclusive package, you may have more fun with Marvel United, but that game is largely driven by its villains. And I also like story and getting to play through the X-Men stories. It's very cool. That's something that you don't get with United. And as Julie said, all the heroes felt very samey to me, and we play a lot of cooperative games. And when it came to United, after we sort of figured out the way the game works. Even on the highest difficulties, we weren't really challenged. Whereas in this game, even on our first play, even if it was easy, we still had situations that didn't necessarily go our way. So I'm sure that if we'd started off at a higher difficulty level, we would have got into trouble a lot easier. And that's one thing that I like about this game is, scaling up to hard or expert can really make a big difference because of the cards you're going to be drawing, and you just have a lot less time to complete the scenarios and the story. I don't really think there's anything else that I want to add, Julie. You happy? We covered everything?
I believe so.
All right, Julie, so go ahead. Give your score.
You keep asking me to go first. You go first.
No, you're going first. I decided. You can read my mind. So you already know what my score is going to be. So wait, since she's a mutant that read my mind earlier, what is my score going to be?
I think you're going to give it a 7.
I'm going to give it a 6.5, actually. It was close. It was in my head. The 7 was floating in there, and I thought about doing it, but I got to give this a 6.5. I had more fun than Marvel United, but it's going to get pretty much the same score because it has a lot of the similar flaws that I find to the game, and you're going to be spending a lot of time with regards to the randomness. I like the scenarios. I like the heroes. I do love the game. I do love everything about the game, but the value proposition that you're getting in terms of the whole package, what you're paying for it, that's really what's going to knock it down to the 6.5. If this game was between $30 and $40 Canadian, it'd be a 7, maybe even a little bit higher for me because of you're getting a complete package here. But right now, at where we usually shop, one of the local stores in Montreal, the Valley Gare, it's about $60, and at that price point, it's just not as good.
So I never rate the games based on price because it's a good thing I don't know what games cost because we might not have as many as we do.
That's why she encouraged me to sell it. Sorry for interrupting.
Sell it?
Sell the games to buy new ones.
I would give this a 7. Excuse me. I think that it was fun. It has a couple flaws. That's why it doesn't have a higher score. But just based purely on fun and enjoyment of the game and the possibility of it coming back to the table, I would definitely say it's a 7.
I also think that my 6.5, just to clarify a little bit, is the difference between this and Elder Sign. If it felt better at 2 players, I'd also would have given it a 7. The fact that we really need to control 4 heroes, which is great in a superhero game because more heroes is fun.
I don't, honestly, I'm going to challenge you a little bit on that one and say I can think of one game that we always play 4 characters that we love a lot and you don't ding it for it. So
what's that?
Aeon's End.
Oh no, I definitely ding Aeon's End and playing it 4 heroes. I dinged it in Outcast the last time we played it because it is a lot easier at 2. It's about the scalability. And it's interesting because when you're looking at something like Aeon's End, well, it's actually the similar thing. It's a lot easier at 2 than it is at 4. I'm basing it, comparing it to Elder Sign, where I don't think the difficulty is as variable in this box, which I would have liked to have seen. But that's just my opinion.
Okay.
Julie gave it a 7. So don't always have to agree.
No. So it is now time to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when we have some new content for you.
And take a look down below in the video description. You can find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see pictures of Julie and I playing X-Men Mutant Insurrection, there are plenty on our feeds. And then if you're looking to pick up a copy of the game, take a look at our link to multizone.ca. You'll get 10% off your next purchase. And a portion of that purchase will go back to supporting the channel. Great way to support us, as well as get yourself a copy of this game or any other game that you're looking for. And then popping up in front of us are going to be links to our previously released content. Over here in front of me will be our most recent release. And Julie, what do you want over here in front of you?
Well, we talked about it, so Marvel United.
So it'll be our review and how to play of Marvel United. With that being said, it's time for us to
grab our drinks.
We're not mutants anymore. We're not playing the game. We took the cure.
And we're going to keep playing games.
Keep playing games. Keep playing this one. I wonder if we'll get any expansions for it. I mean, there are so many more X-Men they could add. And lots of villains and scenarios.
Mm-hmm.